K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we're expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at advertise@k98talk.org. The leader in talk radio on the Internet, right here on K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
They say we offer simple answers to complex problems. Well, perhaps there is a simple answer. Not an easy answer, but simple.
It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground.
We have serious problems to solve, and we need serious people to solve them.
Republicans and Democrats. All right, everybody, good morning. Happy July 18th. Yes, it is me, the left wing of the chair, Bryce Robbins, and I'm joined by my co-host, Rick. And today, I am opening up the show because I wanted to give a shout-out to Rick, who is having an extraordinary week. First, he had a killer interview, and if you didn't watch it or you didn't listen in, go do that right now. Second, he's a grandpa to a beautiful little girl. And third, the radio station is exploding with, amazingness. So, thanks to the viewers, Rick's having a great week. Thanks to biology, Rick is having a great week. So, for that reason, I wanted to start the show and give Rick a shout out. How are you doing this week, Rick?
If I was any better, I'd pinch myself to find out if I was still dreaming. But yeah, it's been an awesome week. I mean, honestly, another thing happened that you may not know about yet. We signed a new show starting Tuesday evening. I will be making an official announcement with a press release through Free Press OK and a few other outlets later this weekend, giving folks the details of the host and where to find the show. And we are in talks with another host as we speak. So still expanding, still growing, which means more listeners, which means more people hearing the ads. Yes, I am a capitalist. Sue me.
Well, I'm glad to hear you're having a great week.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm having a great week. I'm not so sure about the country, though, just to be honest.
Yeah, well, you know.
Okay,
What
so
are you gonna do?
I thought maybe we would start with the story that we're going to wind up probably coming back to full circle next week, because I'm only just now starting to delve into it, but there have been some disturbing reports that Planned Parenthood might be up to some shadiness. I have my own personal reasons for not much caring for Planned Parenthood, and from some of the quotes that I found from their founder and the person who originally had the idea of Planned Parenthood, I'm really surprised that the whole group has the support they have. And it would not necessarily surprise me if the information that I just linked to you before the show does wind up actually being true. But I've heard, of course, depending on how you want to let your politics color your perspective, there are plenty of people on the right that are all like, oh yeah, it's true, it's definitely true, they're terrible, they're doing this evil, terrible thing. And then there's all kinds of folks on the left that are like, really? Yeah, this is all crap. So what we're talking about, at least for a couple minutes, because we're really only going to kind of touch on it and just kind of let you know what we're going to do with it next week, is there's a story breaking right now that Planned Parenthood apparently has been possibly, allegedly, selling aborted baby parts. I'm still trying to figure out who the hell they would be selling them to, which is one reason why I want to talk about this more next week. But I know you've probably had a little bit more time to pay attention to the news than I have, because Lord knows I've been busy as hell this week. And you had specifically mentioned that you had heard references that this was all BS, so I was curious to let you give your perspective on that. And then, like I said, I linked you what is supposed to be the entire unedited footage of the undercover video that has led to the exposure of this, which that's one of the biggest complaints that I had been seeing, is that the video excerpts that had been released were basically taking everything out of context and that it wasn't exactly as it appeared. So that's one reason why I did try to find the whole video. Sadly, the whole video is over 2 hours long, so that should be fun. We might have to watch it together with each other on Skype, so when one of us starts snoring, the other one can scream.
Yeah, that probably would be the best thing to do. I mean, you pretty much covered what I was going to say in response, was that I heard a lot of it was taken out of context. I heard that, the CEO of the company did issue an apology for the way the tone was said, and if you want, we could listen to the full apology from Celie Richards. She was the CEO of Planned Parenthood. But ultimately, I think that, just from a quick glance, I think there's some things we don't know. But I would like to think that maybe, aborted fetuses aren't being sold like milk in a supermarket. But I'm sure there's more to the story, you know? Like, I would be very, very surprised if that was it. And I'd be very upset if that was it.
Well, I mean, like I said, I haven't had a chance to delve into it. So I don't want to be one of these guys coming in like I've heard all week that's all like, Planned Parenthood, evil, the devil, blah, blah, blah. I haven't had a chance to look into it yet. So you may hear that from me next week, just to be fair. Because if I find what I'm afraid I'm going to find, then they will not like me next week. But I just kind of wanted to give folks a little bit of a teaser about it. And I, like you, am severely hoping that we don't have an entire segment of the population that has gone so far off the rails, not to plug my other show, but so far off the rails that they think it's okay to sell dead baby body parts. That just, please, for the love of God, I hope by the time that I'm done with this video, I can say with 100% equivocation that this was something that was completely blown out of proportion. Because if I can't come back and say this is completely not true, then I'm not sure. I may be, by the end of next week's episode, I may just start yelling, "Stop the world! I want to get off."
I might join you with that. I mean, you know me. One episode I did talk about abortion. I'm pretty conservative when it comes to it, but I think at the end of the day, if if we want to stop abortions in this country, the way to do it is not, subjugate women and make them feel bad for utilizing that option when needed. We should leave it as an option, but at the same time, flood the population with birth control. Make it so easily accessible that it's inexcusable if you didn't get it or use it or something of that nature. It should be in high schools. It should be in colleges. It should be in community centers. It should be free. It should be available. That's how other countries do it. And other countries have much lower birth rates than us per every 1,000 people or something like that. But I think we're going about it the wrong way a lot of the time. Mostly on the right, it seems that there's just, these protests, these making women feel bad or whatever, smear campaigns on Planned Parenthood. But I think Planned Parenthood is the closest entity to bringing down the rate of, we have teen pregnancies and overall, pregnancies that were never intended to be a pregnancy. So that's my opinion on it. But if it did turn out that they were selling baby fetus body parts, that would disturb me.
Well, just to make sure that we're clear, this is one of the reasons why I am terribly afraid that we may find out that at least in some part this story is true. I am assuming that you're aware of Margaret Sanger's quotes when it comes to the original founding of Planned Parenthood.
Yes, to exterminate the black race.
Okay.
Wait, hang on though. Because when I give the quote about the man who created the Confederate flag, then it's a little different. So he was the one who said, this was intended to be for, the supreme white race or something, or the ordained white race. So if the founder of that says it, then we have to take both equally, I feel. Because I feel like that's the same thing.
No, I'm not saying. What I'm saying is there have been plenty of people that I have heard come out against the Confederate flag, or with the Confederate flag, that have said, yes, this started as a symbol of white power. This started as a symbol of white pride, but we have reclaimed that. I haven't heard that type of stuff from anybody to do with anything with Planned Parenthood. As a matter of fact, they deny that those quotes exist. They say they never happened. Ask them, because I have. I have been attacked on Twitter by conservatives even. And another host that I know has been attacked by other conservatives for mentioning those quotes, and even though they're a part of history, because everybody wants to assume that there's no way that Planned Parenthood, even almost 100 some odd years ago, would have said something that would have been that bad. And that's the difference. The people that are embracing the Confederate flag, they understand what the South was originally about. They understand that, yes, there was slavery there, but the thing that nobody wants to talk about when it comes to the South is the major differences between the South and the North. The South had already started to do away with slavery. Rather prominently, might I mention, that almost every single high-ranking general in the South had freed their slaves a year to 2 years before the war even began. So the whole thing that it keeps coming back to slavery, I don't think we're being fair to history, because there was a lot more going on there than that. But my point is, there's one side that says, yes, this symbol might have used to represent this and may still represent this to some people, but you can't lump everybody together and say, look, just because this represents this to you, it doesn't mean that when we look at it, we don't see something differently. And like I said, I have no skin in the game when it comes to the Confederate flag one way or the other. Oklahoma was neither a northern or a southern state. We weren't even a state yet. It doesn't matter to me. My ancestors, as far as I know, none of them fought in the Civil War. A lot of my ancestors didn't even come over until the 1900s. So all I can tell you for sure is, all I'm saying is, at this point, with the beginnings of Planned Parenthood, and the fact that when you try to talk to people about the beginnings of Planned Parenthood, they flat out deny it and call you crazy, then that's what concerns me. Because if they're not willing to admit their history, then that means they likely haven't changed it.
I have never talked to somebody about the legitimacy of the quote. As far as I was concerned, that those quotes do exist, but I acknowledge the fact that Planned Parenthood is there now to protect or help women when needed. And I believe that in that sense, it has taken on a new meaning. And I've never heard the argument that, people at Planned Parenthood deny that, but I won't question that because I really don't know. But that's interesting, actually.
And the only reason I bring this up is because I know right now they have this image of, they're there to protect people. They're there to make sure that women have access to things that they may or may not need depending on certain circumstances. But that's what I'm saying. At this point, if this comes out to be true, is that really what they started it for? Or have they been making money in very bad ways for a very long time and nobody knew?
That could be something.
So, yeah, like I said, we will come back to that next week because I don't want to get into it until I've actually had a chance to look over it, and I'm just going to make sure that I've got the video linked to my tablet so I can actually, at least if nothing else, listen to it while I'm at work all next week, because it'll probably take me 2 or 3 days to get through a 2-hour video at this point. But anyway, we are actually about up to time for the first break already. Seems a little weird that it's already been that long, but we'll be back here in just a minute.
It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground.
The internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Wow! Good God, y'all! What is it good for? Absolutely! Get started again.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Wondering why you're up early with us on a Sunday morning making a cocktail? News lately got you drinking? Hungover from the mainstream media by Sunday? We are, and we got you covered.
We sure do. We got your hangover cure for those weekly news blues. So sit back, top off your mimosa, and add some Baileys to that coffee.
Take a match to your copy of the New York Times. Light, funny, and oh yeah, news with booze.
And a lot of laughter.
Welcome to Bloody Marys and Broadsheets.
The staff of K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network is proud to announce that our very own Rowdy Rick Robinson has been selected as one of the top conservative talk show hosts in the nation for his program America Off the Rails. Again, congratulations to Rowdy Rick Robinson for a job well done and another reason to stay connected to K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
Our military service members volunteer to protect us in the most dangerous places around the world. They step up. And when they are severely ill or injured, returning to their families is only the beginning of their long road home. Wounded Warrior Project provides these brave men and women whatever they need to continue their fight for independence at no cost for life. So now it's time for a grateful nation to step up. Join us at findwwp.org.
It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground.
All right, folks, we're back. We're live. It's Finding Common Ground. It is Saturday morning, and we are about a quarter of the way through the show. Before we get into the two serious topics of the show, Bryce had one that he thought would be at least of interest. So why don't you go ahead and take the lead on this one?
All right, so this week, last week, it was announced that in the White House, they've installed the first transgender bathrooms, as well as across the country in colleges. They're installing them everywhere, specifically for the transgender community. Now, I had this discussion with a friend of mine, or a coworker, or whatever you want to call it, and they were very upset with me. Because as liberal as I say I am, I don't believe that it's necessary for an institution, such as a school, to be building a transgender bathroom. And I'll give my opinion, and then I kind of want to hear what you think. So, from what I found, 3% of the population is in the LGBTQ community. Of the transgender community, it's a lot smaller. It's less than 1% of the population. However, 50% of the population are men, and 50% must then be female. I mean, I'm just assuming, because you can't be one or the other. But for the small population that is transgender, I don't know if it's necessary to build transgender bathrooms specifically for them. Because here's the thing. In my school, I'll give it for an example. We have old books and old computers. Are we going to waste money building a new bathroom for the one, maybe two kids in your school who, if you have a big enough school, that's just statistically speaking, based on your school size, we'll build a new bathroom or designate a bathroom for them, and not put that money towards what the school is intended to be, and an educational service, providing new books, new computers. I don't see the need for transgender bathrooms in this country because it just seems the population is so tiny and you're in the bathroom for 5 minutes at most, depending on what you're doing in there. And if you're transgender, that means you've switched genders. You're not something else. So I don't understand why, if you're a man who became a female who became a man, why can't you just use the bathroom of what you identify with? To me, it doesn't make sense. And to me, I think the solution is go to the bathroom as to whatever you're now identifying with, or whatever you have, genitalia-wise, or just whatever you believe you are or you identify as, go to that bathroom. But to build an entire new bathroom for a very small select of the population, it didn't make sense to me, and I was called a transphobic for it, which is a new word I heard. I've never heard it before. Transphobic. You're scared of transgender people. But what are your thoughts?
Okay, so I'm going to sound completely like a dick here for a second, but this has been the recurring theme ever since you brought this up. What's the symbol for the bathroom going to be? Are they just going to put a question mark?
See, exactly. That's the thing.
What are we going to have 3 bathrooms now? You got the outline of a woman, outline of a man, and then in the middle you got one with a question mark. I mean, is that the world we're in right now? So here's my thing. I understand that there may be women that identify as men. I understand there may be men that identify as women. I think there's a pretty simple way to solve this problem. If you've gone all the way to the point where you've changed the plumbing, then go to the bathroom that matches the plumbing. If you've still got the twig and berries, if you're in a dress, that's your fault. Go to the men's bathroom. If you've got a vagina, go to the women's bathroom. If you've had the plumbing rearranged and now you used to have a twig and berries and now you have a vagina, feel free to use the women's bathroom. If you went the other way, that's fine, but use the one that matches the plumbing. Why is this so hard?
Wait, that's what I say, and I get called such names for it. It's ridiculous. You're a transphobic. You're a homophobic. No, I'm not. No, it's weird.
No, you are about to start going through what I have been going through for the last 20-some-odd years. Because now that the gay stuff is normal, you still have the gay mafia in overdrive. You don't believe me? Watch what's going to start happening next. They're as bad as the unions because they've made money off of this for so many years. Now they've gotten what they needed. So now they're about to become irrelevant because gays are normal. They have the same rights as everybody else now. So, oh my God, what are we going to do? This is how I've made my living for the last 25 years. So you are about to start being attacked and demonized, just like I have been for the last 20 years when all I've been saying is, look, I don't give a shit who you have sex with. I just don't want to have a conversation with my 5-year-old daughter or son when you're making out in public, no matter what, whether it's normal behavior, abnormal behavior, man on man, woman on woman, woman on man. If you can't keep your hands to yourself in public, then stay the fuck out of public. That's been my issue with it for the entire time. I don't care what you do behind closed doors or who you do it with, but don't make me have to have awkward conversations with a 5-year-old kid just because you can't control your hormones. I don't care who it's with.
Well, I don't think I'm going to agree with you that far, but in regard to the bathroom, I do agree with you. In regard to what's in public, I think that needs to become a conversation because it is normal now in our society. And I think that, if you see two men holding hands walking down the block, then I think that's, and your child or whoever asks about that,
you're missing my point. Okay, so that's an easy conversation. Hey, Dad, why is that guy holding hands with another guy? Well, son, there are certain people that are... they are attracted to the same sex. So you know how mommy and I feel about each other? That's how they feel about each other. That's an easy conversation. But when they're all, and this is the thing that pisses me off, because it's like it happens more often with the gay and lesbian community, because it's like they have to push the envelope. That's like my wife was in a pizza place a couple of weeks ago with my nieces, picking up pizzas, and they're in public. 2 women that were all over each other and basically having sex with their clothes on in the lobby.
Well, that, for whether you're straight or whether you're gay, is just unacceptable.
I understand that, but that's the point. That's the point that I'm trying to make. They have gotten to the point where they have figured out that the way that they get attention and the way that they get things done is to be as offensive as possible until everybody starts paying attention to them. That behavior is not going to change. Now it's going to shift. So you are about to start becoming transphobic because you don't think there should be extra bathrooms. And you're going to deal with that for the next 20 to 25 years until everybody finally gives in, and then there's going to be transphobic there's going to be transgender bathrooms everywhere. And then the next thing that's going to wind up happening is you're going to have kids suing for civil rights against their parents, because there's already moves to make that happen. That's what I'm saying. There has to be a point where we draw a line somewhere. And I'm sorry, as far as I'm concerned, the line should have been drawn where we just crossed it. Because I don't care who you are or what you do behind closed doors, but a lot of this stuff needs to stay behind closed doors. And if I'm old-fashioned for that, hey, I'm officially a grandpa now, so suck it.
You are a grandpa now, so I guess it's makes sense.
All right, so... damn, it's already almost time for the other break. Okay, well, before we do that, I think we may just take the break a little late. I do have a couple of clips that I definitely want to touch on. We'll let this one play, then we will take the break, and then we will come back and start discussing. Good Lord, all of these are long. We'll play this one. It's the shortest one of all of them. I don't know if we'll be able to get to all these today.
Today, in announcing a joint comprehensive plan of action, the United States, our P5+1 and EU partners, and Iran have taken a measurable step away from the prospect of nuclear proliferation towards transparency and cooperation. It is a step away from the specter of conflict and towards the possibility of peace. This moment has been a long time coming, and we have worked very hard to get here. A resolution to this type of challenge never comes easily, not when the stakes are so high, not when the issues are so technical, and not when each decision affects global and regional security so directly. The fact is that the agreement we've reached, fully implemented, will bring insight and accountability to Iran's nuclear program, not for a small number of years, but for the lifetime of that program. This is the good deal that we have sought. Instead, Fordow will be transformed into a nuclear... Now, I want to be very clear. The parameters that we announced in Lausanne not only remain intact and form the backbone of the agreement that we reached today, But through the detail, they have been amplified in ways that make this agreement even stronger. That includes the sizable reduction of Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium and the number of centrifuges that it operates. It also guarantees that Iran's breakout time, the time it would take for Iran to speed up its enrichment and produce enough fissile material for just one nuclear weapon, that time will increase to at least 1 year for a period of at least 10 years. And contrary to the assertions of some, this agreement has no sunset. It doesn't terminate. From uranium mines, and I want to underscore, if Iran fails in a material way to live up to these commitments, then the United States, the EU, and even the UN sanctions that initially brought Iran to the table can and will snap right back into place. We have a specific provision in this agreement called snapback.
All right, I can't listen to Jekyll anymore. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, then we're going to come back. We're going to, the reason I cut it there is he started talking about the UN. There's been an interesting development there, so we'll play a little bit of that clip when we come back from the break. And then I have a few parallels I thought everybody might find entertaining. We'll be right back here in just a couple seconds, right here on Finding Common Ground.
Do whatever you can. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
It got up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members, of their families or their children, asking them to deploy, patrol, stay on watch, on point, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to bring them all the way home, to keep them secure, to have their backs, for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs do whatever it takes to help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Find out how you can help at findwwp.org.
It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground.
All right, folks, we're back. We're live. This is Finding Common Ground. I'm your host, Rick Robinson, and I am joined today, of course, as usual, by my left chair host, Mr. Bryce Robbins. Now, we were starting to touch on the Iran deal before we went to break. We're going to kind of finish out most of the rest of the show probably talking about that. And then we do have something special planned for the end that I'm not going to talk about till we get there. But there's been an interesting development when it comes to the Iran deal, and most of Congress is not happy about it. I don't think we're going to play the entire clip, but we'll play enough where you can get the gist of why exactly Congress is pretty pissed right now.
Administration facing a new hurdle in trying to sell the Iran nuclear deal to Congress, and it comes down to a matter of timing. Senators, Republicans, and Democrats have blasted the White House for paving the way for the United Nations to go ahead and lift the sanctions against Tehran before Congress has had the 60 days required to review the deal. Republican Senator Bob Corker is chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. Here's what he said.
I'm sorry. I look at that as an affront to the American people. I look at that as an affront to Congress and the House of Representatives.
Joined now by Senator Orrin Hatch of Utah, the most senior GOP senator. Good to have you with us, sir.
Nice to be with you.
Good morning. It's nice to see you here in Washington. So Samantha Power, the U.S. ambassador to the UN on Wednesday, circulated a draft resolution that would end international sanctions on Iran once the IAEA verifies its compliance in the deal, curbing its nuclear program. So apparently it's like, all steam ahead for this plan.
Well, that's a real mistake. I think the administration's making a terrible mistake by not going through Congress. Right now, it looks as though they can make this through Congress. Pelosi has already come out in favor of it. I don't know where the Democrats are in the Senate, but it's likely that they'll, get together.
All right, so you pretty much get the gist of it there. So basically what's happening is because of the fact that this deal's been signed off on, the United Nations is like, hey, screw them. We don't need to wait on Congress. We can pretty much remove the sanctions now. Now, let me tell you why I think this is happening. Why would the paper tiger that is the United Nations suddenly feel they don't need to wait for Congress's approval? 3 very simple letters. TPA. We told you idiots in D.C. over and over again that if you let that shit pass, you were going to be shooting yourself in the foot. Now you're screaming and yelling and hemming and hawing because the president's basically going to say, yeah, it doesn't really matter at this point if you guys pass it because we're getting it done through the UN, bitches.
Oh, corporations, look at what you've done now. In all honesty, it's like a chain of events. And I think a huge part of why I support Bernie Sanders is because he's been so outspoken against Citizens United, which, in my opinion, is a huge reason why this, is happening. Just saying. Because corporations now have, not now, they always have, but more than ever now, yes, power over what they can do in elections. So,
I'm sorry, who is it that you're supporting again?
Oh God, I know it's coming. Bernie Sanders.
Elizabeth Warren would be so hurt right now, sir. Just so you know. If she knew how much you waxed about her and how much you were like, dude, I didn't even have her kids. And now all of a sudden you're all about the Barry Sanders. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Wait, but did you hear that Elizabeth Warren keeps, I guess the young people term, not for grandpas like you, would be she keeps subtweeting Bernie Sanders. So, I mean, in that sense, she keeps endorsing him, but not quite endorsing him by saying what he's doing is so great. And soon she says,
hang on a second. Did you just assume that because I was old, I wouldn't know what subtweet was? Might I remind you that I'm the one that introduced you to Twitter?
No, I was joking.
Yeah, whatever.
You're more tech savvy than me. That should be said. Rick is far more tech savvy than I am, and the age
not only should that be said, that should make you feel rather sad that you're out teched by a grandpa.
It does. It actually. I am so bad sometimes with computers and social media stuff.
All right, so one last thing that I definitely want to make sure that we touch on. I actually was going to put something like this together, and then I found one that somebody had pretty much done for us. There are some interesting parallels between the Clinton administration and the North Korean deal, and now the Obama administration and the Iran deal. So we have a little bit of Bill talking and then a little bit of Obama talking. It's going to run for about roughly 5 minutes-ish, but I do want to play this whole one.
Before I take your questions, I'd like to say just a word about the framework with North Korea that Ambassador Gallucci signed this morning. This is a good deal for the United States. North Korea will freeze and then dismantle its nuclear program. South Korea and our other allies will be better protected. The entire world will be safer as we slow the spread of nuclear weapons. South Korea, with support from Japan and other nations, will bear most of the cost of providing North Korea with fuel to make up for the nuclear energy it is losing. And they will pay for an alternative power system for North Korea that will allow them to produce electricity while making it much harder for them to produce nuclear weapons. The United States and international inspectors will carefully monitor North Korea to make sure it keeps its commitments. Only as it does so will North Korea fully join the community of nations.
And recall that at the time, skeptics argued that Iran would cheat and that we could not verify their compliance and the interim agreement would fail. Instead, it has succeeded exactly as intended. Iran has met all of its obligations. It eliminated its stockpile of dangerous nuclear material.
Now notice he said it succeeded as intended, so
inspections
basically
of Iran's program
admits that
increased,
they planned on getting nothing in return
and we
the whole
continued
time.
negotiations to see if we could achieve a more comprehensive deal. Today, after many months of tough, principled diplomacy, we have achieved the framework for that deal. And it is a good deal, a deal that meets our core objectives. This framework would cut off every pathway that Iran could take to develop a nuclear weapon. Iran will face strict limitations on its program, and Iran has also agreed to the most robust and intrusive inspections and transparency regime ever negotiated
He
for
said the
any
word again, I'm
nuclear
cringing.
program in history. So this deal is not based on trust. It's based on unprecedented verification.
And here he is channeling Reagan.
Many key details will be finalized over the next 3 months, and nothing is agreed to until everything is agreed. But here are the basic outlines of the deal that we are working to finalize.
The outline is we're screwed,
First,
we're screwed.
Iran will not be able to pursue a bomb using plutonium because it will not develop weapons-grade plutonium.
Because they're going to use uranium.
The core of its reactor at Iraq will be dismantled and replaced. The spent fuel from that facility will be shipped out of Iran for the life of the reactor.
And probably to
Iran
terrorist
will not
countries to
build
use as
a
dirty
new
bombs.
heavy water reactor. And Iran will not reprocess fuel from its existing reactors. Ever. Second, this deal shuts down Iran's path to a bomb using enriched uranium. Iran has agreed that its installed centrifuges will be reduced by 2/3. Iran will no longer enrich uranium at its Fordo facility. Iran will not enrich uranium with its advanced centrifuges for at least the next 10 years. The vast majority of Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium will be neutralized. Today, estimates indicate that Iran is only 2 or 3 months away from potentially acquiring the raw materials that could be used for a single nuclear bomb. Under this deal,
very
Iran
contrary
has
to what
agreed
they
that
said
it will
in the
not stockpile the
2012
materials
run-up, just for the
needed
record.
to build a weapon. Even if it violated the deal, for the next decade at least, Iran would be a minimum of a year away from acquiring enough material for a bomb. And the
That's a
strict
weird
limitations
statement.
on Iran's stockpiles will
So wait,
last
hang
for
on.
15
They're 3
years.
months away, but because of this deal, now they're magically a
Third,
year away.
This
minimum.
deal provides
I'm
the
confused.
best possible defense against Iran's ability to pursue a nuclear weapon covertly, that is, in secret. International
Not
inspectors
really, 'cause
will
we
have
can't
unprecedented
inspect their
access
military
not only to
bases.
Iranian nuclear facilities, but to the entire supply chain that supports Iran's nuclear program, from uranium mills that provide the raw materials to the centrifuge production and storage facilities.
Okay, I said I was gonna play the whole thing. I can't do it. I'm gonna have to find the airsick bag that means something. Okay, so just to try to make at least somewhat of a joke, for my next category, Alex, I'd like to take huge, ginormous, steaming pile of male bovine excrement for $200.
And wait, it gets better. Let me read you a quote that I scrolled past that I thought you'd be interested in hearing. Okay, so it's kind of sad to a large extent, but the president of Iran, or whatever you call him, I don't know, prime minister, president, I really don't know what he is.
There is a president of Iran.
Okay, the new guy, you know, whatever his name is, the Ayatollah guy. He said,
"Oh no, see, he's not the president. Iran has a president. He's the leader of their religious sect, the Ayatollah Khomeini." And yeah, I know what you're about to read. Basically, he said, "Screw the deal. Nothing with us changes."
Yep. And he said he will still support our friends in the regions, such as Palestine. So there we go. Bahrain, Iraq.
So hang on. Let that sink in for a second, because we're about to give this maniac the largest infusion of cash they have seen in 50 to 60 years. And while we're telling them we're going to do this, he's telling the rest of the world, fuck the U.S., we're still going to support terror, bitches.
Wait, I have a perfect clip for this. Hang on, here we go. Okay.
The settlement of the Czechoslovakian problem, which has now been achieved, is, in my view, only the prelude to a larger settlement in which all Europe...
Oh, that is perfect. That is perfect.
Wait, he's gonna say it.
This morning, I had another talk with the German Chancellor, Herr Hitler. And here is the paper which bears his name upon it as well as mine. Some of you perhaps have already heard what it contains, but I would just like to read it to you. We, the German Führer and Chancellor, and the British Prime Minister have had a further meeting today and are agreed in recognizing that the question of Anglo-German relations is of the first importance for the two countries and for Europe. We regard the agreement signed last night and the Anglo-German naval agreement as symbolic of the desire of our two peoples never to go to war with one another again.
This is peace in our time.
Yeah, I've actually seen lots of memes floating around that have now changed his name from Barack Obama to Barack Chamberlain.
I put that up.
Well, yeah, but you were the first one, but you weren't the last one. It's going all over the place. But yeah, so anyway, I think we're deluding ourselves at this point, to be honest, especially when the person, I mean, 'cause yes, they have a president, but he's basically a figurehead. Their religious sect runs their country. When the person that's in charge of that sect basically says, yeah, we like this deal, we're glad we're getting everything we want from it, but it's not going to change anything from us. or about us or what we do and or how we help those that we align with. So yeah, thanks U.S. for the money. Now we're gonna have more money to try to kill you all.
Yeah, but on the good news, oil is going to drop tremendously in price in the United States to around $2.
Yeah, bad news is I live in one of the oil capitals of the country, so our economy might go with it.
Yeah, but you know what? The American media doesn't care about you. They just care about that. So, shush.
I don't want to shush. Don't shush me, you damn whippersnapper.
No, I mean, it's kind of what this deal is doing is pretty bad. I mean, oil prices are going to drop, but that means American oil is just going to have a harder time, and we are banking on the trust of the Iranian leadership. But
here's the thing: they're not banking on any type of trust. I've actually seen excerpts of the agreement. I'm still trying to find the whole thing, but from what I've been able to see, for any inspections, we cannot inspect any military bases, and we have to give them 28 days notice that we're going to be doing inspections. How the hell they don't think they're going to be able to get anything they need moved to a military base, which we can't inspect within 28 days, is beyond me. This was nothing but a way for Barack Obama to finally build his legacy and to feel justified in the Nobel Peace Prize that he won before he ever took office. Because for at least a year, he's going to be touted as the guy that made things better between the U.S. and Iran, and then at some point it's all going to blow up in all of our faces, which,
as well as Cuba,
which sadly might actually result in mushroom clouds.
Hey, but you know what? We're
all going to glow in the dark, so it'll be okay. You know, we won't. I mean, come on. Think of all the nightlight companies that are going to go out of business because we won't need them anymore.
I'd like to think, however, that this is another example of what you always get mad about how the world economies are so intertwined that we literally can't go to war with one another, else we'll destroy each other economically. I would like to think
Except, hang on. See, this works with Western philosophies because we understand how intertwined we are with one another. Iran is part of the caliphate movement. They want the world to be destroyed. They literally believe that in order for their Messiah to return, the world has to be bathed in blood first. So they don't care if the Western economies and the Eastern economies and the Middle Eastern economies are put in shambles, because as long as they kill enough people, their Messiah comes back anyway. Yeehaw.
We're fucked.
Yeah, I'm trying. Hello, how long? I've been saying this for how many months have we known each other now? Welcome to what I tried to tell you 6 months ago. We are screwed.
Well, you know, maybe Obama can give us some little last ounce of hope and change he's got in him and do something right.
Are you still drinking the Kool-Aid or what? Because if so, by now I hope you're lacing that shit with cyanide, because then at least you won't be here for the mess he's going to leave behind him.
Yeah. No, I agree at this point. And what scares me most is that when Israel, like, bitches and moans, as the media would put it, about this issue, they're really just telling the truth here.
Wait, hang on. That I just have to say that I never, because when this all first started, you were on the complete opposite spectrum.
I wasn't complete opposite. I didn't know where I sided. To be fair, I did not know my opinion. I was like, on one side you have this, on the other side you have this.
No. Actually, if you want, I can go back and pull the audio from one of the first shows that we did together, where you were like, "Oh, I think that what he's doing with Iran is a great thing, and it'll be great for the people there." And then now 6 months later, here we sit.
You've affected me.
All right. So we are actually about out of time, because I want to at least try to make sure that you get to your show somewhat on time, and we will be ending the show a little bit differently. Because of the media hype over the recent shooting in Chattanooga and the fact that they keep focusing on this crazy MFer that did this, we're going to do things a little bit differently here today. We have a few minutes of a tribute put together, and then we're going to end the show with a moment of silence. The normal commercials that you hear on the live broadcast will not air at the end of the show. They will be placed in for podcast for anybody who catches them later. So, yeah, you got to sit through the commercials if you're not here live. But in honor of these folks that have lost their lives, I have one thing I want to say about that first. We need to stop making military bases, of all places, gun-free zones. These people understand how to use them, and they're trained to use them. If they have them, this won't happen. And that's actually one of the first things that I know Governor Fallon. We've met, we've talked a few times. I don't always agree with what she says, but there is one thing that she has done right in my state this week. She actually authorized the top-ranking general in Oklahoma to rearm all military personnel while on military bases. I think it's way past time for that. I'm just saying. But, Bryce, I'm going to give you a second to maybe give a shout-out as to what you're going to do on your show, and then we are out because I don't really want to say too much of anything else other than what we've talked about before this ends.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about a little bit more about the Iran deal. I'm going to talk about perhaps the feds, perhaps, I'm still kind of planning it all together like I always do, but it'll come together pretty nicely.
Hey, quit taking a page out of my book and planning your show 30 seconds before you go on the air. Doesn't always work well.
That's true.
All right, folks, here we go.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marine. Our flags unfurled to every breeze, from dawn to setting sun. We have fought in every clime and place where we could take a gun. In the snow of far-off northern lands and in sunny tropic seas, you will find us always on the job, the United States Marine. Here's health to you and to our corps, which we are proud to serve. In many a strife we fought for life and never lost our nerve. If the Army and the Navy ever looked on heaven's seas, they will find us trees are guarded by United States Marines.
Gunnery Sergeant Thomas Sullivan. Lance Corporal Squire K. Wells. Staff Sergeant David Wyatt. Sergeant Carson Holmquist. And as of today, Navy Petty Officer Randall Smith. Rest in peace.